I call this meeting to order. No gavel. Get on my desk. We will have prayer and pledge led by Councilman Copeland.
Lord, we thank you for another day. We thank you for another opportunity for us to come together as council members and fellow citizens to make progress on behalf of our city. Lord, we ask that you guide this conversation. Oh God, we ask that everything that we do this evening will be to accomplish a greater work in Saginaw. Lord, we thank you for, you know, the needs of this city. So Lord, we ask that you just continue to make provision in every decision that we make, that it will be an honorable, integral, and honest decision on behalf of the people. And we will continue to work on behalf of this great city. And we believe that there are great things coming to our city. Lord, we ask even as we meet tonight that you would just calm our city with the violence and every other things and the needs of this city. We ask that you just meet every need and help every hung down head and every sorrowed heart. We pray this in your son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
And our pledge?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United
States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with
liberty
and justice for all. Thank you so much, Councilman Copeland. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Williams.
President from the city of Saginaw, Saginaw County.
Thank you. Councilmember Balls. He is absent. Councilmember Bench.
Present in Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Ostash.
Present, Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Scherzer.
Present in Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Copeland.
Present for Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Lamar Sylvia.
Present, Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Flores.
Present, Saginaw,
and Mayor Moore.
Present, Saginaw, Michigan.
Thank you. We have 8 members present and 1 excused.
Thank you.
And Mayor, that takes us to announcements. I do have a few this evening. I want to remind everyone that your yard waste pickup is on your regular trash day. Please place your yard waste in 35 gallons or smaller cans or in a paper yard waste bags for collections. And remember that your cans must be labeled with the yard waste sticker. These are available at the city clerk's office during regular business hours. Cans and bags must weigh less than 50 pounds each. Twigs and grasses cannot exceed 12 inches above the container. And the city's waste convenience station is open to city residents the second Saturday of the month from 8 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock noon. The station is located at the Public Works Building and can be accessed using the Holland Avenue. City residents may dispose of items that would otherwise be taken to the landfill that curbside does not pick up, such as your building materials. They also have services for recycling for glass, plastic, and paper. The next collection day will be Saturday, May 8th. And Saturday, May 15th is the community Team Up to Clean Up event at 8 o'clock a.m. until 12 o'clock noon. Volunteers will meet at City Hall. Work attire and gloves are recommended. Those that want to volunteer for this community event, please RSVP by calling 759-1540. And Mayor, that takes us to public hearings.
Thank you. Tonight we have a public hearing, and let me remind that the main speaker has 10 minutes and any additional members have 3 minutes to speak.
Yes, Mayor, our public hearing tonight is a 5-year consolidated plan and the annual plan for the Community Development Block Grant Program, Emergency Solutions Grant Program, and Home Investment Partnership Program.
Thank you. Once again, the main speaker has 10 minutes to speak, and any additional speakers have 3 minutes. You may begin.
Great. Good evening, Mayor Moore and honorable council people from the city of Saginaw. My name is Sarah Traxler, and I'm with McKenna. We are a community planning and design firm who has been working with city officials and your community development and housing stakeholders over the last 6 months or so to put together a draft plan. This evening, you will have the first of what I understand to be actually 2 public hearings on the proposals that you'll find in your packets this evening. As the clerk and Mayor Moore noted, tonight's public hearing is on a 5-year policy document and also a 1-year policy and funding plan for how the city of Saginaw will spend its entitlement funds or grants from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Actually, since these programs' inception in the 1970s, Saginaw has been receiving these formula grants from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and you receive them directly. Now, you, as you have seen in the documents, also share these grants or in turn make grants to subrecipient grant organizations and community development and housing organizations throughout the area. So as I understand it, the purpose of the public hearing is to get general comments on the plan proposals. Again, it's a 5-year policy and then a 1-year allocation proposal. So it's not a 5-year budget, but rather just a 1-year budget. And then I have a longer presentation under the actual agenda item where we'll get into the nuts and bolts of what exactly is proposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone to speak besides Miss Sarah? Are there any more comments? Are there any more comments? Last and final time. Are there any more comments? I need a motion to close.
Just to clarify, my apologies, Mayor Moore. I just wanted to clarify, is this public comments generally or with respect to this topic? This is Jessica Ruvain.
I want to say it's with respect to this hearing, the hearing that we're having, ma'am.
Yeah, this is a public hearing on a specific topic. This is not public input. Jessica, your name will be called when it's your turn.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have comments for the consolidated plan. Is this the time?
This is the public hearing for the 5-year consolidated plan and the annual plan.
My name is Michelle McGregor. I'm the Executive Director of First Ward Community Service, and I would like to say good evening to Mayor Moore and the City Council members of the City of Saginaw, as well as our City Manager and City Clerk, and to the CDBG staff as well. I am to share, just like to one, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I would like to just express that the consolidated plan have a great impact for the constituents that we serve at First Ward Community Center through the different block grants that we have received for our after-school program, LACER, HIRE, as well as our Senior Citizens program. We've also received dollars for what we're doing right now, our Senior Citizens meal delivery, which we have that we're serving up to 125 residents as of right now that are 55 and older, and it is still open. We do have 20 slots available. The funding that comes in through this consolidated plan, as well as the CDBG dollars, actually go a long way in regards to making sure that our children and seniors are safe and have the needs that they actually need in regards to food, transportation, and things of that nature. Due to COVID, we've had a slight setback, but we have resumed our after-school programming as we continue to deliver meals to not only children, but also senior citizens. I would like to share that as the proposal is coming forth, that some of the dollars that will be spent or think of being spent, there's a collaboration that is happening now with in the city of Saginaw with First Ward Community Service and Saginaw Community Action Committee. It is entitled the Saginaw Sustainability Indaba. And through this partnership, we're combining 140 years of service to the Saginaw community, helping families in regards to low and moderate income homeowners with energy efficiency for their homes, urban gardening, as well as job creations that we're looking to do for the residents and of the city of Saginaw. We are so excited about this particular partnership that we're forming that we would love to come to present our proposal in the future. If there's any other questions that anyone would like to hear more about the Saginaw Sustainability Indaba, I strongly encourage you all to reach out to Hurley Coleman III at CAC or myself at First Ward Community Center. And lastly, if there's anything in regards to our citywide youth collaboration, we will have our Summer Youth Employment Program that is going to help our city as well. So these dollars that are actually coming, as you're looking over the span of 5 years, is going to be an amazing opportunity to bring in some other services that will collectively bring organizations together, as well as create citywide networks that will foster to our children for their academic momentum and refocusing. Because in 5 years, we have
Mayor Moore, her time has expired.
Oh.
Her time has expired,
Thank
Mayor.
you.
Thank you, ma'am. I didn't hear your buzzard. I thought you had it, Madam Clerk. Thank you so much, Ms. McGregor. Are there any more comments? Are there any more comments? Last and final time. Is there any more comments regarding this public hearing? If not, I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Moved.
Second. 4 seconds.
It's been moved in second. All those in favor signify by saying
I'm
aye.
sorry, Mayor, I did not catch who made the motion. You're changing. Keep your mic on a little bit longer before you speak and then before you turn it off, please. I'm not hearing who's talking.
I'm sorry. Who made the motion?
Monique Lamar Sylvia.
And it was seconded by Councilman Flores.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Let's take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. That takes us to public input at this time in our meeting.
I'm so sorry. We have a public input and don't know what time
No,
you want to hear us. So.
I'm sorry, during public input, your name will be called when it's your turn to speak. Our speakers have 3 minutes, which I will time. So please wait for your name to be called.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Our first speaker tonight is Charles Coleman. Charles, are you with us?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and speak, please.
Thank you so very much. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mr. Manager, ladies and gentlemen of council. My name is Charles Coleman, and I come to you as the president of the Saginaw Board of Education. The Board of Education offices are located at 550 Millard here in the city of Saginaw. As you are aware, the Saginaw Board of Education won the support of Saginaw voters to change the face of public education in the city of Saginaw with the construction of a new comprehensive High School, which will be located on the site of the current SASA building on Niagara Street, Niagara and West Genesee. This project requires the purchase and demolition of the former Fruity Bean elevator building. Mounted on the elevator building is the iconic Saginaw Bean Bunny. The Board of Education, since the beginning of this process, has recognized the value and importance of this sign. All of our discussions with the owner of this property, with our contractors, our engineers, and our supporters have included the importance of properly moving and saving this sign. Tonight, as the president of the Board of Education, I stand to reiterate this commitment to save the Bean Bunny and to work with the committees that are being formed and established for this purpose. Thank you again very much for your time and attention. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ramont Roberts.
Good evening. Good evening, Madam Mayor. Good evening, members of City Council, City Manager. I will reiterate what Dr. Coleman has just spoke on. It is certainly our intention to maintain the Bean Bunny sign, but I will go back and give us a little history on how we got to this point as a school district. We enlisted the input of stakeholders in this community and in this city in regards to what direction they would like the school district to go in an attempt to create a 21st century school system that individuals in this city and certainly in this county will want to send their children, not only presently, but also in the future. And our stakeholders spoke loud and clear about what was needed. The bond campaign was one of those items that the voters spoke on. A comprehensive high school was another one. Gifted and talented campus was another one. But all of the projects are a culmination of what the stakeholders in this community envisioned as a school district for their children, their relatives' children, their friends' children, and so forth. And we wanted it to be a part of this city and this community as an attraction point for families in the future. And so, again, we intend to follow through on the promise that we made to the voters. And we also recognize the historical significance of that Bean Bunny and intend to save it. But we want to balance that with providing a strong, attractive school system for our area, as we know that is an anchor and will always be for areas that are looking to grow. And so that is the stance of Saginaw Public Schools. Again, I'm Ramont Roberts, I'm the superintendent of Saginaw Public Schools. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Our next speaker is Jessica Reuven.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Thank you, City Councilmen, members of the public, for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm calling tonight as the Chief Compliance Officer for Yuma Way, a company with a provisional license for a marijuana establishment in the city. I just want to comment briefly on the approval of the minutes from the last meeting, introducing new amendments to the marijuana ordinance. First of all, I want to thank the City Council for continuing to take a very thorough and measured look at how to best update the marijuana ordinance. One of the two items that were introduced was a proposed change to the variance language for marijuana establishments within 500 feet of other marijuana establishments, so that no approval is required for the other establishment before proceeding to obtain approval from the city. The reason for this change was primarily out of fairness to the applicants due to issues caused with inconsistencies in determining which establishment would buffer out the other establishment. What I wanted to suggest is that the City Council consider adding an additional amendment that moving forward, the city proceed on a first-come, first-served basis with a provisional license application submission date, acting as the determination for buffering between establishments. This is the approach taken by the City of Kalamazoo, the City of Muskegon, the City of Grand Rapids, and countless other jurisdictions. Taking this approach would allow for better planning and communication for companies interested in operating a facility in Saginaw, and would reduce much of the discussion and confusion which has happened to date with several establishment applicants. I would also recommend having workshops with stakeholders so the city can best anticipate any concerns from stakeholders. I very much appreciate you allowing me this opportunity to speak, and I hope everybody has a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final speaker tonight is Rita Saluki.
Hi, this is Rita Saluk. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak before you, Honorable Mayor Moore and City Council. So I actually would like to comment on comments made several weeks ago by the as the Planning Commission by the Councilman Ostash. And I believe that he had a question posed, absolutely correct question that I would like to help to answer. And that's where I would like to comment. I would like to make sure that we have open conversations at City. And we weren't able to speak at the last meeting. We only have 3 minutes to speak. But nobody would give me the email of Councilman Ostash until today. Finally, I got it and I sent it in. I think you guys are on the right track, and I appreciate everybody looking into it. But I would like to have more open communication and maybe some workshops or maybe just communications about it, because it's important not just to get it, but to get it right. And I think we would be able to contribute with our knowledge and experience to help City out. We fully committed to our establishment going with the full construction, and I don't think there's any controversy about it. But we still would like to be a help of the city. And I'm also a computer programmer with 15 years of experience, and I believe Councilman Ostash the same way. Coming out of computer programming, everything has to be logical, everything has to make sense. We just would like to make sure that we either able to email you or speak, just whatever is good. Please let us know. I appreciate everybody helping us out. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Mayor, that takes us now to remarks of council.
Council, my fellow council persons, you have 3 minutes to speak. Please stay within your 3-minute period. And tonight we will begin with Councilman Williams.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Saginaw. I'll keep this short. I want to say thank you for our public speakers coming forward. I am definitely interested to see how the Bunny Bean is preserved, especially since it's a historical landmark for our city. I would like to address the situation that we had in Ojibwe, and also just in regards to our parks in the city. I would hope that moving forward in the summertime that our citizens are able to respect our public parks. It's nice to be able to be out, especially if we get out of this pandemic anytime soon, but to be able to get out and see people enjoying the parks and having to be there with loud music, with people driving on the grass, with people driving on the grass and whatnot, destroying the parks, destroying the time spent for others, is disrespectful. And I hope that this is something that can end. So moving forward, one of our councilmen did send me a video of where one of the vehicles was doing donuts on Ojibwe. I would stress and urge our citizens that so that you are not considered snitching, that if you are able to get good video of vehicles or people that are disrupting the time spent at these parks, please turn that information in to us so that we can turn it over to the police department or directly to our police department so we can preserve our parks and enjoy our time spent there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will have Mayor Pro Tem Balls.
I'm not prepared to speak right now. I really don't have much to say. Just came in from another meeting. I'm sorry I'm late. I didn't hear the presenters, but I did read which ones was coming, but I'm not going to comment on that. So I'll leave the rest of my time to Mr. Copeland. He can have my time too.
Thank you. Next, we will have Councilwoman Bench.
hello, everyone. Thank you to our public speakers. Thank you to Mr. Coleman and to Dr. Roberts. It is nice to have us to hear from you guys that there is the intention to save the building, and hopefully the public who's paying attention, or not the building, excuse me, but the sign. Hopefully those who want to see the sign saved will take some comfort in hearing that you came here tonight to reassure the public of that. And I commend them on the job well done that they did with their millage. That was a huge undertaking, and I have to concur with the things that they said, as that being my recollection as to how the campaign went as well. So I do want to say I think our email addresses are all available on the website. I'm not sure about our actual phone numbers, but unless something's changed since I checked the website last, I'm quite confident for anybody listening in the public. We're not hard to find. You know, I believe our information, at least at a minimum, the city email address is on there. And most of us are not hard to find, just in public or on social media. So I just hope people know that. I do want to thank our clerk, Janet Santos, and her deputy clerk, Christine Bolzman, and of course, my esteemed colleague, Councilman Ostash, for joining me at our Local Government 101, covering the clerk's office. I thought it was a really good hour and really interesting, and I appreciate the time and the effort that goes into it. I want to thank Kevin and Cece as well. They are my companions on that endeavor, and just really appreciate them. And please share that if you haven't already, and if the public is listening, please check that out. You'll learn a lot in an hour, and we're definitely looking forward to the next one. So I think that's all I have tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilman Ostash.
Thanks, Mayor. Welcome everybody to tonight's meeting, and welcome to our public speakers. I'm excited to hear about the Bean Bunny, so thanks for reiterating that for us. And also to go on with what Councilwoman Bench was just talking about, if you go to our city website, up in the right-hand corner, it says I want to, and you click on that and it says contact the city, and there will be a full page of all the council members and the various departments, phone numbers, and then for the council, our email addresses. Also, I want to thank Jeff Klopsick, because there was some information on the city website for brush pickup. The west side of the city is from the 1st through the 15th, and then the east side of the city is from the 16th through the end of the month. So Jeff graciously got that information back there out there for our citizens, so that when you're cutting your brush and the instructions, to lay it next to the curb, and the cut end is towards the street, and then our city staff comes around every month to pick that up. Just make sure that you have your brush out there the night before your window of time, because you never know when in that time they're going to come, and they do start at 7 o'clock in the morning. Also too, there's been some people just doing a lot of cleanup in the city. I know we talked about the cleanup that's coming on May 15th, but I also want to thank the Rotary Club and the Saginaw Valley Young Professionals Network from the Chamber. They did some cleanup at Malibu Iron. I think they had like 90 bags of trash that they hauled out of there. And then also on Facebook, I just saw a gentleman by the name of Jimmy Truss. And I do want to commend Jimmy. He's in his 6th year now. He's been taking care of multiple lots in his neighborhood, and trimming trees and pulling out trash. And one of the posts that he had out there, he actually been doing like over 10 vacant lots and some stuff, but one of the posts was really interesting because he said he pulled out a parking sign, old speakers, chairs, kids' toys, sheet metal, bricks, dry rotted stumps, brush, plywood, old flower pots, tires, someone's yard waste actually, and a kid's swimming pool. So folks in the city, please, we have a convenience station like the clerk stated earlier. This is something that does not make the city look nice, and we hear a lot of people complain about it. And you can take items like this to the convenience station. If you live in the city, you just have to show your ID that you do live in the city. Mayor, that is all I have for tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilwoman Scherzer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I first want to just thank the public speakers, anyone watching at home and on SGTV. We truly appreciate it. I love hearing from our constituents and about the issues that are going on. I really want to thank Charles Coleman and Ramont Roberts for coming and sharing the intentions, because I think a lot of misinformation has been going around. So really, truly appreciate that. I also want to, it's sad news, but good news in the same sense. I was informed that Richie Rich's downtown is going to be closing at the end of the week. But I want to verbally thank Richie Rich's for coming into the city. I truly enjoyed the Manhattan. It is one of the greatest sandwiches. So if you can support this business, even though it's going out of business and leaving the city of Saginaw, they are open till the end of the week. So thank you for what you've done in bringing your business here. I will miss you, but I am sure a lot of others will miss you as well. I also want to thank, along with Councilman Ostash, about the brush cleanup. But thanks to Consumers Energy, and I believe I saw some city trucks out there trimming some trees away from the electrical lines. I know in my neighborhood it's been a huge request for all these trees to get cut down, and that's not always feasible. But Consumers has come through and really cleaned up some of the trees to make it a little bit safer. So I just want to say thank you to the Consumers as well as the city. I do want to mirror what Councilman Williams said. It was very disheartening to know that as we were sitting in council meeting, taking care of business and moving the city forward in positive ways, people were destroying the city in a negative way. So I too just want to mirror, if you see something, speak up. And it doesn't even have to be, it's not just related to, you know, how people are treating our city. It can be all, I mean, the shootings and the violence going on just needs to be stopped. Crime Stoppers is a very anonymous way to report something if you don't feel comfortable, but we just as a whole have to do a lot better. And then lastly, I do want to announce that the Finer Women of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Zeta Omega Zeta chapter, where I serve as president, is hosting our virtual Finer Womanhood program, and our own Councilman Copeland is going to be honored as an up-and-coming trailblazer, and then myself will be receiving the same award that Mayor Moore received, the Community Impact Service Award. So that is May 22nd virtually. I encourage all council members to attend and any city staff because we have great council members doing great things. So that is all I have. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Next we have, that's a tough act to follow, but we have Councilman Copeland.
That truly is a tough act to follow. But once again, thank you to our speakers for their input this evening. I encourage our citizens that are watching, listening, please, you have 3 minutes, please sign up. We want to hear from you. We enjoy being here for our meetings, but we want to hear from you, not only on social media, but we want to come on this document, have it documented, have it in notation that you came here and spoke. I do also want to say this weekend, Saginaw had a lot of events going on, and it did my heart glad because one of those events, Miss Rhonda Alexia Webb hosted a bazaar for our young entrepreneurs here in the city of Saginaw, and it was really amazing just to see them at the SBRC. These young entrepreneurs here in our city who had their stuff together. I mean, they made me spend my money because they were so professional. It was really amazing. And they had Grace Jane with Prince, Talia from Sugar Plum's Dreamy Treats, Ayana from Bubble Kids Cosmetics, Exploring Bath Bombs, Pretty Girl Custom Bowls, Brooks, the owner of Splat, Julian from Swag Magazine, Sweet Lips by Jazz, Cameron's Creations, L&L Boutique, and J&K Creations. These were young entrepreneurs that were out there selling and it was amazing. It was one of the entrepreneurs was sold out by the time I got there. So, and I also want to say great job to our Saginaw Public School District difference makers for the month of April, Mr. Jason Applegate, Mrs. Trisha Baker, and Mrs. Fianda Gray. I also want to acknowledge our Saginaw Public School District amazing kids, Kennedy Sherman, Miss Akaya Clemens, Xavier Poppins, Angelina Mora, and Isaac Killinger. These are our young people here in our city who are doing great things. And I wanted them to know that our city, the city council, we support our youth of this city. And we're glad to see that they're doing great things. And also thank you to our difference makers in our schools, who this has been a difficult year, but you all have stuck it out and supported our children. So thank you so much. And I do want to just say, I am happy to announce that my number 2, my baby boy, is here, and so I'm happy to add to our population of this great city of Saginaw. Thank you for this time.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilwoman Sylvia.
Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to also concur with Councilman Williams in regards to our parks. Even though some of us have already said it, it is so disheartening, to destroy what we're trying to build and trying to keep the park open. So let's just do better. I'd like to concur with Councilman Oshkosh also in regards to Mr. Jimmy Truss. He's been doing a fantastic job for years. And last I know that he did ask for help if you'd like to join him. Also, I'd like to say kudos to the Zeta Phi Beta sorority and the Zeta Omega Zeta chapter this weekend. It was fantastic. Know Your Rights Social Action Day. I mean, I was like, okay, we need a part 2. It was awesome. It was just really awesome. If you missed it, you missed a treat. I also like to say thank you to our public speakers for this afternoon. You all have a great rest of the day, and thank you very much.
Thank you. We now have Councilman Flores.
Thank you, Mayor. And congratulations to Councilman Copeland for Gavin coming into this world. Keep them coming. You're bringing a lot of great life and hope to Saginaw, and I'm very, very happy for you. Also, the Ezekiel Project is going to have a webinar tomorrow from 6 until 7 about civil rights of immigrants. So please, if you have some time, go over to their Facebook page and sign up for that. It's going to be a great conversation about civil rights in general, and sometimes immigrants don't get looked at as having civil rights. I want to talk real quick about the murder of Carmel Jackson on Saturday the 17th. We need to take care of our parks and our restaurants, but we need to take care of our youth first and foremost, so they have a chance to build a real meaningful and hopeful life. If anybody has any information on the murder of Carmel Jackson, please call Saginaw Major Crime Unit at 989-759-1289. I know that is a tall ask for a lot of people that were there witnessing the murder, that, snitch culture is real, that street justice is something that we cannot condone here in Saginaw. Please, going into the spring and summertime, we need to make sure that whoever killed Carmel Jackson is brought to justice. We need to have faith in our court systems, and we need to do things differently here in Saginaw. Last I talked with Tamara Tucker, who is the head of Parents of Murdered Children. She is looking for all the help she can get to rebuild her organization. Please call her at 989-332-8864. She had lost a daughter and some other family members to gun violence. And I think we have a real opportunity to come together as a community and face something that's been plaguing Saginaw for a long time. But it really starts with a difficult step of taking care of the murders that have happened in this past week and a half, 2 weeks. So that's all I have.
Thank you. I'd like to repeat what my fellow colleagues said. I'd like to thank all of our public speakers. And Saginaw for the month of May, I think it's going to be really, really, really busy. But we're going to kick it off on Friday at 3:30 at the Art Museum that is located on Michigan. At 3:30, the Mid-Mission Area Labor Council will be outside, and they will be saluting and honoring the lost union workers who were killed in the line of work or doing work. Also, Congressman Dan Kildee will be there. The public is welcome. So at 3:30 on Friday, if you're not busy, come on down and celebrate with Mid-Michigan Area Labor Union. May 6th, very important date. Please mark your calendar. It's National Day of Prayer. We have been in prayer for the city, me and my classmates, since the day that I walked into the office as the mayor. We will continue to pray. On May the 6th, I'm encouraging and I'm asking as many residents at 12 noon to meet on the front steps of Saginaw City Hall so that we can begin prayer at 12 o'clock. Also, I'm excited about the cleanup on the 15th. That day seems like a busy day. I think the downtown group is cleaning up. And on Saturday, I did notice, I didn't know who the group was at the Malibu plant. And I do want to thank them for getting out, cleaning up. So now I know it is the Chamber of Congress Youth Group. So kudos to them. We have a lot of citizens who are actually starting now and have been doing it. I'm not saying start, I'm sorry, that's the wrong word. They've been cleaning up their areas for a long time. I'm encouraging everyone, let's pick up the paper. And my favorite saying is put down the guns. Young people, we gotta put down the guns. Not just the young. We gotta learn how to talk to one another. Also on May the 20th, the city of Saginaw will be doing a food giveaway at Hoyt Park. I'm encouraging all citizens to be there. The 15th is our cleanup. I'm excited. We get to fellowship, we get to clean up, and we get to fellowship again. So please, if you do plan to attend the cleanup, we just need a count so we make sure that we don't run out of any of our little snacks that we're getting. And with that, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. That takes us to the reports from the manager.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And first, I would make a comment and echo what some council members were saying about crime and encourage everyone, if you do see something, then say something. I know there's a lot more than gets reported that happens in the city, so many things you don't even hear about. I encourage you, if you want to know more about that, you can reach out to Councilman Williams, because he can tell you from his career in the city police how tough it is working. I know he worked as a detective, and also if you would like to talk to Chief Ruth about some of the way the Detective Bureau operates and how they work with the major case unit for the state police, we'll be happy to do that. And I think that also, as Councilman Williams and Councilwoman Scherzer said, we do have to focus on quality of life issues as well. Our parks are very important for our residents. And as you all know, we don't have very many funds to take care of the parks, but we do have on the agenda this evening an item to purchase cameras for Ojibway Island, and I think that's a first step into safely opening that park. And these are the similar cameras that we are using at some of the sites where people have been dumping trash in our city, which is also a quality of life issue. These are cameras that give us a clear picture, and I think will help improve the safety in our park, in Ojibway Island Park. And also, as we move through the years, I think it would be beneficial to us to use that same technology in our other parks. So hopefully that's something that everyone can support. Also, as Councilmember Ostash said, I think, and other council members, I think contacting our council members is relatively easy. In the city manager's office, we're here to serve council. So any member of the public who would like to talk to a council member can call the manager's office, and we'll get you any message that we get, any literature we get, we'll get that to council members. And that is true in the contact part of our website. Every council member's city email address is listed, and it's linked, so someone could just click on that and send any of you an email if they would like to do that. I wanted to provide an update on the water service in the city and the financial health of the fund. The mayor asked me about this morning. The state order prohibiting water shutoffs has expired, I'm sure you all know, but the city of Saginaw has not resumed shutoffs at this time. We still have a high outstanding balance of unpaid accounts. We have nearly $1 million in past due payments and 639 accounts that would be eligible for shutoff if we were shutting off at this time. The city staff has made courtesy calls to all customers with high balances, urging them to seek assistance and or make payment arrangements, because that will make sure that their account stays on if they make payment arrangements and are adhering to those payments. Eventually, we will have to resume enforcement. If you know someone who is having trouble paying their water bill, please advise them to call 211 to seek assistance. They are still helping people, and there may be additional funds available with some of the funding that came out through the American Rescue Act. Additionally, in accordance with Chapter 7, Section 43 of the City Charter, the proposed 2021 city budget has been provided to City Council. Please contact the City Manager's Office with any questions or to schedule a meeting with the Office of Management and Budget for further explanation of the proposed budget. Information regarding the budget will be presented to City Council and the public, and the budget will be on the May 24th agenda seeking approval. And finally, I would like to say thank you to Representative Amos O'Neill and Senator Ken Horn. We had our first quarterly meeting with the Mayor Pro Tem on Friday a few weeks ago, and I appreciated their times and also the topics that we discussed. Primarily two topics we spent a lot of time on were mental health resources for the city from the state of Michigan, and also state roads, and especially driver safety on I-675. I think that's something we really need to get some additional assistance with from the state of Michigan. We have a lot of accidents on I-675, and we have had city vehicles hit there. We're working on the accident scene as well, so I think that's important. And I know Mayor Moore and Representative O'Neill and Senator Horn especially expressed their support for additional mental health services, particularly to cities. And we also have a presentation this evening that was mentioned earlier. Sarah Traxler, the Vice President from McKenna Associates, is with us this evening to provide an update on the 5-year consolidated plan and the annual plan for the Community Development Block Program. You all should have received that presentation already, and with that, I'll ask Sarah to begin her presentation.
Thank you, City Manager. I am going to share my screen here so that folks in the audience can follow along. Here we go. Okay, so I believe that you're seeing the presentation, Manager Morales. Yeah, okay. I see heads nodding. Yes, wonderful. Hopefully soon we can all be together again and see these presentations in real life. So this evening I wanted to provide a summary of the planning process and the plan proposals for the city's 5-year consolidated plan and 1-year annual action plan, which is a requirement of all entitlement communities that receive U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development funding. When we talk about the planning team and folks that were involved in preparing this draft plan, first, of course, we like to give credit to and just note the involved stakeholders. Most of the stakeholders this time around were familiar to the city, folks like First Ward, who spoke earlier tonight, and also other nonprofit community development and housing agencies who have been partners of the program over a number of years. The Human Planning Commission, as you're all aware, is the commission that is responsible for reviewing project proposals and making funding recommendations to the city manager and then ultimately to city council. So they've been involved in this process as well. Finally, the city's OMB division's community services department, Kina Franklin and Leticia Vizine, Trevino, specifically, are the folks that we've been working with most closely. And Yolanda Jones also swoops in when we need her. As I said earlier, McKenna is the firm which I'm representing, and we're a Michigan-based company who helps local units of government with community development, planning, urban design, and building department services. So what is a consolidated plan? You know, I've mentioned that it's a 5-year plan for your HUD funding. I've mentioned that's required by HUD entitlement communities. And I think it's really important for folks to kind of key into the fact that HUD has very specific regulations and requirements of these plans. So just as there's really specific and detailed guidance and requirements for how you're supposed to spend your funding, we also have very prescribed process and inclusions in what is supposed to be in your 5-year plan and also your 1-year plan. This plan is meant to coordinate the local use of HUD programs and funding. As I mentioned before, it's for the CDBG program, which is kind of HUD's hallmark grant program, and then also home and ESG, and we'll talk a little bit about the objectives of those programs. The plan itself identifies community development and housing needs. One of the main sources of information and data is the U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey, or ACS, which is the data set that has kind of replaced our 10-year, well, not replaced, but supplements our 10-year decennial census. So we have really specific data sets for HUD program recipients. It's meant to foster strategic planning and prioritize the use of your resources, mainly by the way that we prioritize goals that are given to us by HUD, and then also to engage stakeholders. So when we talk about the objectives of the programs, there are 3 national objectives that are corresponding to the Community Development Block Program. First and foremost is to benefit low to moderate income households. We say households because that's the unit at which many of the grants are provided, but it's important to note that it's not homes that we're planning for and giving funding to, but rather the people who live in those homes. Another national objective under which you can qualify projects is the prevention or elimination of slums or blight, and that's a less frequently used national objective. And then finally, urgent community development needs, and those would be more like emergency situations. CDBG funding has, a really broad list of eligible activities or projects that can be funded. Things that go to revitalize neighborhoods if they are in a low to moderate income census tract or block group. Conduct and promote economic development, which is one of the activities that the city uses its funds for. And then importantly, to provide improved community facilities and services to people. And under that public service category is where you see so many of your important grants to your community stakeholder partners. In terms of the objectives and activities of the HOME program, its main priority is to create affordable housing for low to moderate income Americans. The use of HOME funding requires a household benefit, again, kind of measuring the income of the folks who would be living in a home and using that to qualify a project. You can use HOME funding for new construction or rehabilitation, which the city does both, and other reasonable and necessary expenses related to development. So of course, operating expenses are documented and justified and are in compliance with the program. Finally, there is tenant-based rental assistance available through HOME. ESG is emergency shelter grants. And this is where we're helping City of Saginaw residents who are at the lowest end of the income spectrum and have difficulties securing permanent housing. ESG funds are able to be used to rehabilitate and operate emergency shelters and transitional shelters. We can increase the number and quality of those shelters to provide essential social services, which of course are so important for the folks who are benefiting from this shelters, to help prevent homelessness through education and other programming, and then to transition to permanent housing, which is ultimately the goal of all of these programs. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about funding trends. I think that there are at least a handful of council members who haven't been with the city on city council for the preparation or adoption of a 5-year plan. So I think it's kind of good to look at trends. 5 years ago, when I was in front of city council with your 2016 through 2020 plan, you were actually looking at decreased funding through your HUD programs. And of course, that was not through kind of any fault of the city, but rather because of the way that the federal government was budgeting. This year, if you look in this pinkish column here, you'll see that it's anticipated that if we forecast out 5 years of your anticipated allocation for CDBG, you can expect to receive in the ballpark of $11 million for the next 5 years, including this program year. That is a change of that is a change of approximately 9% increase. And that's a slight increase in funding compared to the last plan, meaning that you're looking hopefully at a rosier future in terms of how the federal government is funding your programs. This year, the estimate for your home allocation is almost $450,000. 5 years ago, that was at $320,000. So you're seeing a 36% change in that. And then for your emergency shelter grant program to deal with homelessness, you're seeing a grant of about $190,000, which is up just a very small percentage since 5 years ago. So all in all, I think that it's better news in terms of the funding levels that you should see over the next 5 years than when I was here in 2016. The planning process we employed was to consider and integrate as appropriate and feasible at this point the results of the 2020 housing study, which was prepared to benefit this planning process and also the master plan or comprehensive land use plan that the city is in the process of preparing. We've conducted public engagement, performed additional data gathering and analysis, and conducted strategic planning, which is a kind of combination of the inputs of public engagement and data. And that's what you see in your packets is a draft 5-year plan. In September of 2020, we had a public meeting with council to discuss goals and priority needs. In February, we conducted stakeholder roundtable groups or focus groups, virtually of course, with community development organizations, public service providers, infrastructure and economic development was another topic covered, and then housing and homelessness. Then that evening, we presented to the Human Planning Commission and received their feedback on the input that we received from the focus groups and earlier engagement. So we thought you might be curious about some of the results of the engagement. A question that we asked of the 3 focus groups was, what are the greatest challenges facing the city of Saginaw? We heard workforce development in terms of training tomorrow's workers, infrastructure improvements being in great need, and then also economic development, i.e. the creation of jobs and opportunity. In the second focus group on infrastructure and economic development, we heard that there's a need for economic development, affordable housing, and infrastructure improvements. And then in the housing and homelessness focus group, we heard the need for affordable housing, workforce development, and then a discussion about programs and services for Saginaw's younger residents. So in terms of the themes that engaged, 60% thought that affordable housing was the biggest issue facing the city. 60% thought workforce development, and then 50% thought economic development was the biggest issue. This year, HUD is requiring of its entitlement communities that they address in their 5-year plan the need for broadband internet and high-speed internet, basically acknowledging that the digital divide, or in more rural communities, the lack of service is a very important consideration in terms of low to moderate income people. They also are requiring that we address, as locally appropriate, climate change and future resiliency. So these are new inclusions, and we wanted to ask the stakeholders that we engaged whether their populations that they service have identified greater need for broadband internet, and 3/4 of them roughly said yes. And then second, in terms of concern for climate change, less than a majority said that their populations are asking or mentioning a concern for climate change. Of course, there are recipients of HUD funding all over the country, and they have differing concerns or fears about climate change perhaps than we do. Maybe more dramatic rain events or other natural disasters. So, we already talked about some of the themes that emerged during those focus groups. I think, we wanted to kind of share some ideas that came out of those focus groups, just in case they're helpful to the City Council. One issue, I think, especially since we're sort of in the thick of a global pandemic that's really changed the way that we access information. One of the themes that we heard was that stakeholders really were looking for improved communications, perhaps in the form of a central clearinghouse where multiple organizations' resources might be available for those at greatest need, or just curious about what's to offer in terms of housing, community development, and so on and so forth. We think that that's an interesting idea, and kind of even uncoupling from community and development and housing, just being involved in local government future planning. That's something we hear on a lot of planning projects that we do, not just in Saginaw, concerning housing and community development. Again, there was a lot of discussion about what Saginaw's younger residents do with their time, how they're being prepared for the future, and kind of a desire to corral their energy and, perhaps to say it in a little bit more negative way, sometimes aimlessness, to give them things to do and to work towards their future was a great concern for the stakeholders that we engaged. Assessing and attracting the businesses and services that are needed in the community was a big concern in February. And then a need for supportive housing with wraparound social services and increased enforcement of specific ordinances and policies at the city level. We just wanted to share a little bit, just 2 slides on some data analysis that actually is kind of populated for us in the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's online system, which is how these plans are prepared and submitted. Between 2012 and 2017, which was the latest data available for the American Community Survey, 2009 and 2017, the city's population decreased by 12%. And then, so that's individual residents of the city. And then the number of households had a smaller decrease by 7%. And that makes sense because our household sizes are shrinking. So it's not a one-to-one loss, of course. And then in terms of the median income in the city, we did experience an increase by 9% during that time period. In terms of housing problems, we don't have bullets here, but I kind of jotted down my main takeaways from this slide, which are that, as you might expect, renters are more burdened than homeowners, by their housing costs. So So basically, renters are paying a higher portion of their income towards their housing costs, which includes, rent and any utilities that are associated with that and any other costs. So they have a higher housing burden than homeowners. That said, in both groups, renters and owners, these large yellow areas on the left part of the bar charts are showing your poorest residents, who are between 0 to 30% of the area median income. And that big yellow area is showing that they are spending much more of their income on their housing. So this is the percent of their income that they spend towards housing. So here it's 75% for your poorest, about 55% for the next poorest group, and so on and so forth. So, we know that Saginaw residents and homeowners and renters alike are struggling on the lower end, and that is what these programs are meant to support. So in terms of the consolidated planning process and the plan inclusions, we just wanted to quickly touch on one thing that we mentioned in prior grant planning programs, which is as you're continuing to develop these programs, you can always choose to have geographic focus areas. One approach would be to focus on neighborhoods throughout the city on a rotating basis, outline priorities, and decide to focus on areas with current private focus or without much private investment. So that's something that you could consider in the future. Another way that communities kind of try and make a big impact with these funds, especially CDBG, if it's a place-based program, would be to outline priority corridors. And if they're in low to moderate income areas, you can use this funding to beautify important corridors and gateways, do streetscape roads, sidewalks, non-motorized improvements, and also accessibility improvements to make it a safer place for legal users of all of your public rights of way. So based on the public input and engagement by these partners and with city staff and the Human Planning Commission, we've identified plan goals which are given to us by HUD and prioritized thusly. The number one plan goal is to increase quality and affordability of owner-occupied housing. Second is to enhance economic development and training activity, and that was really borne out by the results of our focus groups. Third is to address the needs of your homeless and most at-risk families. Fourth, to provide and expand public services. Again, that's the category under which you provide so much support to your local nonprofit and community development organizations. And then fifth, to increase the quality and affordability of your rental housing. So we're almost to the end of my presentation. I wanted to summarize what the city is expecting to receive. So, we were just talking about your kind of 5-year overarching policy component, which is the consolidated plan, and now moving into just this next year's plan, which is called your annual action plan, and the estimated budgets that the city's received from the feds. In 2021 to 2022, and your program year starts on July 1st, the estimated allocation is $2.1 million, with roughly $400,000 in reprogrammable funds that are already in the city's coffers from prior year programs. That means that the city is working with about an estimated $2.5 million community development block grant budget for this coming year. In terms of the home program, the estimated allocation is $436,985. And for ESG, which is your emergency shelter grant program, you have an estimated roughly $185,000 allocation. So these projects were, project proposals were reviewed and considered by the Human Planning Commission, and the budget figures that I had in the presentation and in the draft plan were based on the Human Planning Commission's recommendations. We'll be updating all of those based on City Council's action and the City Manager's recommendation. The first category of projects is your Community Development Block Grant. And this page, I know you can't read all of these words, so I'm just going to kind of summarize each of these slides. And this is the almost exact copy of what you received in your packets, which is the city's proposals for how you spend this money. This first page shows that a recommendation of about $670,000 of your CDBG funding was made by the Human Planning Commission to go towards primarily home repairs, spec writing, construction monitoring, loans and grants for home owner occupied housing, and then some fire alarms to the Housing Commission and Community Action Committee front porch repairs. So that's a large chunk of your proposed or allocated community development block grant funds. On the next page, we have public facilities, and those are in eligible areas. And these are projects to the tune of about $460,000 for ADA, things like ADA ramps, roof repair, cameras at the Housing Commission, and then streets resurfacing and reconstruction. Under the economic development bucket of funding in community development block grant, you have demolition of dangerous buildings, EDC, business loans, and then also administration of the Downtown Development Authority. And that is a recommendation of about $660,000. Now, these are all of the recommendations that the Human Planning Commission made in regards to the public services that the city funds. Now, I know that some of you are keyed into this, but one thing I haven't mentioned is that with HUD's funding, they put a percentage cap on certain categories of funding. So your public service budget has a 15% cap of all your overall funding. This is difficult, I think, for a lot of Michigan communities, at least, who wish that they could make more of these grants to their partners who are doing such great work in community development and housing in the community. Unfortunately, they do have that 15% cap, and they, divide it between the project proposals that they receive. So that 15% cap comes out to almost $325,000, and that has been, allocated based on Human Planning Commission's recommendations to a number of your partner organizations. Finally, the program has another cap for administration, and that goes towards just the continued administration of the program by the city. And those are all of the plan proposals for your community development block grant. The next two slides show your emergency shelter grant program funding, which is about $185,000 going to mainly local shelters and the United Way. And then finally, your home project, which is for affordable housing, allocation is estimated at almost $437,000 going to Saginaw Habitat for Humanity, and then also the city for more homeowner rehabilitation, housing rehabilitation funds. So that is the Human Planning Commission's proposals in a snapshot. And I'm going to stop sharing and just talk briefly about next steps. And I can pull up any slides if anyone needs to, but I figure you've probably seen enough of that. We will be coming back on May 10th for another public hearing and for consideration by the City Council of these plans, the 5-year consolidated plan and the 1-year annual action plan. Between now and then, we'll be continuing to make, plan inputs onto that online system. I'm doing a lot of work just making sure that everything is in the right place and that all of the draft proposals are accurately stated. And then after May 10th, we'll be working to make sure that the program is finalized online and that all of your proposals are inputted properly, and then get the plan submitted. I know that there are materials in your packet, that the department submitted as well, and we look forward to working with you over the coming weeks to get this project all wrapped up and to get you poised for success in the next coming years. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And Madam Mayor, that concludes the management update.
Are there any questions for Ms. Sarah from the council?
Yes, I do. I was talking to someone about the application, and I did see that the application is closed. Has there been any opportunities where if additional funding were to come in, that the application portal will open back up?
That's interesting. I think I think I can speak on in general the way that communities organize this is to really manage it on an annual basis and make that, those grants for that 1 year, and then open it up again. But I know, for example, over the last year, the city received that CARES Act funding because of COVID. So sometimes there are things that pop up that make, different allowances available. I think, oh yeah, Miss Yolanda is here and she can answer that specifically.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, City Manager Morales. Normally what happens is that the window actually happens one time a year where we take applications. It's normally during the fall time, and the subrecipients are notified at that point.
Thank you so much. And thank you again for the presentation. Really great information. I was really happy to see about the broadband internet. So I'm excited about sharing this information. And then also, point of clarification, am I able to also ask a question to our city manager, or this closes out and then I can ask the city manager?
You can ask.
Okay. Hey there, Manager Morales. Have we received any updates from Representative Kildee?
Not on the use of those funds, so we're clear on the well-defined uses that were included in the legislation. We still have our questions out there. I do plan to contact his office to see if they have gotten clarification, and I don't think it's any delay in Congressman Kildee's office. I think Treasury is working on the guidelines there. I think, with legislation, a lot of times the legislators don't necessarily think about the implementation, and then departments like Treasury are responsible for setting those up. So I'm sure that that's part of the reason for the delay with that program.
Thank you for the clarification. And again, thank you, Sarah, for your time. This was really great. I'm looking forward to seeing the success of the next 5 years.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good evening. Thank you very much, Ms. Sarah. What I'd like to know is I've looked over part of the submitted package to council. What I'm wondering this evening, what you want us to approve the consolidated plan. So does that also include what the CDBG has suggested in regards to each organization that asks for dollars? So if I'm approving this, am I also approving where those dollars are being spent?
I can answer that. Yes, that's what you would be approving.
Okay, so this is like, okay, go ahead.
But you do, because the recommendation that you've been provided with the city manager's recommendation, but there is an area where city council can make changes.
Okay, so that brings me to my next point, that it's a lot of information. I couldn't even begin to go over it. It was like over 200 pages, and I think I would be remiss to even try to approve it until maybe the next council meeting, so that I would really have enough time to really look over it, because I received it on the 22nd of May. Would that hinder anything as far as the application, etc.
As long as we can approve it at the next meeting, we'll be within the time frame that HUD allows.
Okay, thank you very much.
Correct me, Miss Sarah, if I'm wrong. You did indicate you'll be back at our next meeting.
Yes, that's right. And that is a little bit different than the letter that I included in the packet stated. So I understand if there is a little bit of confusion about that. I just wanted to let you know that we'll be back in case you did want more time.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Any more questions? Once again, Miss Sarah, we'd like to thank you so much for sharing the information along with the Planning Commission. Mr. Manager, it's your pleasure.
Concludes the management update, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, we are now at the consent agenda.
The agenda has been available at City Hall and on the city webpage and also on SGTV channel 191. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, leaving room for exceptions. Okay, I need y'all, excuse me. Can you state your name when you say you move it, and can you say it when you second it so that Ms. Jan can get it? Thank you.
Bench moves.
Flores seconds.
It's been moved in second. Are there any exceptions?
Yes. Monique Sylvia. Item number 2 and item 13, please.
Are there any more exceptions? There's a motion on the floor with the exception of 2. We need to take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
And those, does anyone object? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk.
Item number 2 is approve the amendments to the Rules of Order of Council of the City of Saginaw. That was Councilmember Lamar Sylvia.
Okay. Sorry, my papers are off. Okay. Yeah, I guess it's maybe just the wording. A little word in there that needed to be changed. Where it said, I'm sorry, my papers kind of got a little messed up trying to go with that. But what I just want a little piece of that clarified, where it says that council member will be marked absent. Can it read that until they return? Because the way it reads is like you're absent once you leave from the camera or whatever. So I'm just saying, like, just simply going on the reading, it reads like a person would be marked absent from the meeting once they leave. It doesn't make stipulations into that person returning. That's all. I just want a little clarification there. Maybe I know what you meant, and maybe my constituents does, but maybe other people won't. So
okay,
that's what I have.
And I believe tonight there are amendments to council rules of order that are being brought forward for adoption, and those amendments are what are up for consideration. I think you're asking for something else with regard to an amendment to existing language.
I guess that's what that would be. Yes. Because to approve it as it is, I'm just saying it seems like if I have to leave for a minute or two, I marked absence from the total council meeting. That's the way it reads.
Okay, but that language has already been approved. That language
Okay.
is not before our council today.
Okay, well, I would have to not approve that. Okay, thank you.
I think it's a separate issue, and I would ask the city clerk to weigh in. I believe we're approving the currently proposed amendments as they were amended at the last meeting. If additional amendments were needed to the existing language, that would be a separate motion.
I would agree with Attorney Lusk on her comments. And just to clarify, if you're absent from the camera, you will be noted as absent during the meeting. And that's for transparency in case a vote does come up. But when you return, you're also noted as returning back to the meeting.
But it doesn't specify that. That's why I was kind of like,
well,
maybe that should be in there. But okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's kind of a given factor that when you return to the meeting, then you are noted as present and that you did return. And that's been established by habits in the minutes.
Okay. I just think something should be written, but I'm fine.
Councilwoman Sylvia, what's your pleasure?
Yeah.
What's your pleasure?
I don't like the way it's written, so I just would vote my conscience on that. That's all.
Anyone can make a motion, Mayor.
Okay. Agenda item number 2.
That was Mr. Flores, I think.
Yep.
Made the motion. Was it seconded?
I didn't even hear. I didn't hear the.
Can
motion.
we restate the motion?
Yeah.
The vote on consent agenda item number 2.
Okay.
Bench will second that.
It's been moved in second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Monique.
Do we need to do a roll call? Do we need to do a roll call vote, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mayor. Yes.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Balls.
Aye.
Councilmember Bench.
Aye.
Councilmember Ostash.
Aye.
Councilmember Scherzer.
Aye.
Councilmember Copeland.
Aye.
Councilmember Lamar Sylvia.
No.
Councilmember Flores.
Nay.
And Mayor Moore.
Aye.
We have 7 yes and 2 no votes, so the motion is approved. Our next item is item number 13. That is to approve the 2021-2025 Consolidated Plan and 2021-2022 Annual Action Plan, and that it be submitted to HUD for approval. That was Councilmember Lamar Sylvia.
Okay. With that, I think you all kind of heard what I was saying. I would like to be given more time. And it's also, I guess it's on the website. I guess it appeared on the 22nd, which was this past Thursday. It definitely was not enough time for me. I'd like to know if we can postpone that to next council meeting to vote on it. So I just need more time to really read it and get an understanding. I have talked with the city manager. I also talked with Ms. Kayna Franklin, and I also made that verbal this evening by talking to the presenter, that Ms. Sarah, that it would not do us any harm to take it over to our next council meeting.
Is that a motion, Councilmember Lamar Sylvia?
I would motion to table that into our next.
To postpone till next meeting?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Floor seconds.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion?
Yeah, real quick, I'll just add to what Councilwoman Monique Lamar Sylvia stated, that the magnitude of this would require additional time, at least for myself as a new council member, to look over a 5-year plan, and that since we do have time to take our time on this. So that's all I have to say.
Any other comments? Let's take a vote. All of those in favor with the motion of postponing. Let me stop. Madam Clerk, can you read what the motion is again, please? I'm sorry.
The motion is to postpone the approval of the 2021-2025 Consolidated Plan and the 2021-2022 Annual Action Plan until the May 10th meeting.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor. Let's take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed?
No.
Get a roll call vote. Because I didn't hear everybody. So I just didn't hear everybody. I'm sorry.
Mayor Pro Tem Balls,
Yes.
Councilwoman Bench,
No.
Councilmember Ostash,
Yes.
Councilmember Scherzer,
Yes.
Councilmember Copeland,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamar Sylvia,
Yes.
Councilmember Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We have 8 yes votes and 1 no. Motion is approved. And with that,
So now-
Mayor, that takes us to board, commission, and committee reports.
Okay. Do we have any board reports? Is there anything going on that we would like to share? Anyone would like to share with the community?
Yes, Bench here. Yes, Mayor
Yes.
Moore. Annie has an update.
I'm listening.
Okay, I couldn't tell. Sorry.
We are listening.
All right. Well, our human rights work group did have an opportunity to meet over the last 2 weeks between now and the last meeting. And we got a lot of good information, and I think it was a really good, productive meeting. We learned from our city attorney a little bit more about the action that was taken by the Supreme Court on the LGBT employment rights issue and what that means and how that translates. We also learned from her that we have 2 bills at the Michigan legislature, one on the Senate side and one on the House side, that have been introduced to update our Elliott Larson civil rights law. And I was very pleased. We were all really kind of excited to hear that our very own state representative O'Neill has signed on as a co-sponsor to that House Bill 4297. And he did indicate to us that there's a lot of momentum and a lot of movement there, and he was very pleased with the resolution and the action we took there, and just suggested that we continue to wait and see what the state does, so we know how appropriately to respond if we need to respond. Our city attorney is going to continue to monitor those things and provide us with updates, and we'll bring those to the council as we get those updates from the committee. And I know Councilman Ostash can add to that, but I do want to say we are in communication with a lot of the LGBT groups in the area. Great Lakes Bay Pride, Councilman Ostash is a member of, and we have all have good, really good working relationships with the LGBT community in Saginaw, whether they're an organization or just the individuals in the community. So they are aware and being made abreast of what we're doing. And they're also there and available to us to provide their resources and their support if and when we should need it. But I'm very enthusiastic. I'm very excited. I feel really good about the things that we're doing. I feel really good about the things that are happening at the state level. And I'm very excited that our very own state representative has chosen to sign on as a co-sponsor for that legislation, because he was here when we had this conversation the first time. He was a member of council, and he heard all the testimony. He heard the hearts of the citizens and the conflict these issues and this kind of discrimination creates in people's lives. So he knows that burden, and he knows that battle, and I'm feeling very good that we'll be receiving updates from him and our city attorney, and I'm just very glad to know that he's working on that, and especially just the good group we have here at the city. Our city attorney and our city manager are fantastic resources, and the group that we have together from council is just very good. Councilman Ostash is obviously, has a lot to contribute, and that's all I have to say as far as that update. But I'm just really pleased with how things are going. So thank you very much.
So everything that Annie just said, because she did a really great job explaining it too, and I support that 100%. Before the committee met on the old ordinance and to talk about it, as Annie said, I am on the board of directors for Great Lakes Bay Pride, and I've been serving on that for a year. I spoke at the board meeting prior to our meeting with our committee here, and I was just kind of giving them an abrupt on that. They were also very excited, and they wanted to thank everybody for supporting the resolution that we did put forth, which does support, and we were sending it off to our state legislators, and now with these two new bills that are out here, so that's really important that we did that. So like I said, we're just going to kind of monitor things, and the Great Lakes Bay Pride, they said that if the city, if something would happen to change at the state level and we wanted to pursue and put this back into committee and talk about it again, they were more than welcome to offer their services, to come in and meet with us, and also to engage Equality Michigan, and we could have them come and join as well. So yeah, so I'm excited about it, and we'll just continue to monitor.
Thank you. Are there any more boards and commission reports? Madam Clerk.
Mayor, we are now at appointment of board and commission members.
I need a motion to approve all 4 candidates that we have for appointment of seats.
So moved.
Okay, let's do this again. The clerk can you say your name so that the clerk can get it, please? Thank you.
Monique Sylvia. So moved.
Second by Copeland.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? Let's take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Madam Clerk.
Our next order of business is resolutions. Our first one tonight is to approve the Community Development Block Grant Program Submission Program Year for 2021-2022.
I need a motion to adopt.
Point of clarification. I think I
Yes.
said it right. Since we are voting on the action plan at our next meeting, would we move these resolutions to that next meeting, or would I have to make a motion to move that? I'm done. That was the question.
No. Madam Clerk, because we tabled the actual motion and we're going to do it at the next meeting, do we need to make a motion to table that one as well?
You tabled the consent agenda item. However, I would look to city manager to answer this question of the resolutions, as I'm not that familiar with the resolutions.
Thank you.
Actually, I'd look to the city attorney, because the resolutions are what is approving the items from the consent agenda, as I understand it. I think that would probably follow with the consent agenda items, but I don't know if that requires additional action at this time. So Amy, what do you recommend with that?
I think if these resolutions are tied to that consent agenda item, that just for clarity in the record of the minutes, it might be best to do a similar motion to postpone, and we could probably do to postpone resolutions 1 through 3 until the May 10th meeting.
Thank you.
I make the motion to postpone resolutions 1 through 3 until our next council meeting.
Flores seconds.
Monique Sylvia.
It's been moved to second. Any discussion? Let's take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. That takes us to resolution number 4. Is ratification and confirming resolution declaring official intent to reimbursement project expenditures with bond proceed and authorizing publication of notice of intent to issue bonds.
I need a motion to adopt.
And move.
To adopt.
Or bench seconds, either one.
Any discussion? There's a motion on the floor. All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Madam Clerk.
We are now at miscellaneous business. Our first item under there is consideration of a motion to go into closed session to discuss pending litigation in Blaisdell versus the city per MCL 15.268 Section C or E. Section E.
I need a motion.
Flores motion.
Sorry, who was the last name who moved?
Flores.
Thank you.
Second by Copeland.
Thank you.
It's been moved to second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Bench.
Yes.
Councilmember Ostash.
Yes.
Councilmember Scherzer.
Yes.
Councilmember Copeland.
Yes.
Councilmember Lamar Sylvia.
Yes.
Councilmember Flores.
Yes.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Balls.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We have 9 yes votes, 0 no, so motion is approved to go into closed session.
Need a motion to return into regular session.
So moved.
All support.
It's been moved. Who was it moved by? I'm sorry.
Ostash.
It was moved by Ostash, seconded by Balls. Any discussion? Do we do another roll call or can we just vote, Madam Clerk?
Just vote. Straight vote.
All those in favor of returning back into regular session signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it.
All right.
Need a
I
motion.
move.
Okay. I'm sorry.
You want me to go?
Yeah, I want you to go.
I move to approve the recommendation of legal counsel as discussed in closed session regarding pending litigation in Blaisdell versus the city of Saginaw.
Second, Williams.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed?
No.
Roll call vote.
Councilmember Ostash.
Yes.
Councilmember Scherzer.
Yes.
Councilmember Copeland. Councilmember Copeland.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you. Councilmember Lamar Sylvia.
Yes.
Councilmember Flores,
No.
Councilmember Flores,
No.
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Balls,
Yes.
Councilmember Bench,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We have 8 yes votes and 1 no. Motion is approved.
Do we have any other business? Any other business?
Yes.
My
Your hand up.
iPad is turning off.
This is Autumn. I would just like to see if we could get an update on the movement and progression of our hiring of a new fire chief, but also an update because I know it's been over a year on where we are with a new fire marshal. It doesn't have to be now. It could just be provided to council.
Mr. Manager.
Yeah, the fire chief, we are preparing the posting and we'll be posting it soon. And, we're probably looking at a matter of 6 months or less. So we would probably have an interim fire chief. Regarding a fire marshal, I think that they're testing, but we can provide you more information via email.
Thanks.
And also, I would note that Chief Van Loo's last day is, I believe, May 20th. So if you want to reach out to him and congratulate him, he'll be retiring from the city very soon.
Thanks for that information too, because it's good to know that. Thank you.
Okay, so do we have any other business? Hearing no other business, I need a motion to adjourn. I'm sorry.
One thing, Mayor. This is Ostash. Hey, just one quick thing. We've been having some issues here with a house that's owned by the land bank, and I just want to thank Tim Novak for addressing it because I've been getting a lot of calls from the neighborhood. So Tim, if you're watching, thank you for everything that you've been doing for us over here on Bird Street.
Mr. Flores, I thought I seen your hand. I'm trying to scan through. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, real quick. I just have a proposed request for consideration for council rules for section 1 that we meet 3 times a month. Then also for section 20 that we do use our cell phones unless in case of emergencies. And so we can talk about that next meeting. And also, I'm so sorry. Yeah, thank you so much for the Human Rights Commission for doing the work of talking about LGBTQ rights. That's I've been in contact with folks from the Great Lakes Bay Pride as well. I know that there's a lot of speculation that there could be some movement on Elliott Larson Act, but also, we were elected to lead, and sometimes when it comes to state and federal politics, when there's a lot of momentum and movement, that just means that there's a lot of talking. And so I would really like to see the ordinance from 2014 brought back up. But again, we'll see what happens with Lansing and what happens with DC in time. But we do have the ability to bring that up as well. So that's all I have.
Okay. Anybody else? I'm sorry. I don't know how to keep swooping. Did anybody
Mayor
else want
Moore?
to say something?
Yes,
ma'am.
Mayor Moore, I'd just like to comment, if I may, on Councilmember Flores' suggestion of meeting 3 times a month. We are ruled by City Charter, Section 18, that we shall meet twice monthly. City Charter will take a vote of the people to change, not council action.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there any other discussion? I know Councilwoman Monique, I'm trying to get off so that you don't disappear. Hearing none, need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Support.
It's been, I think it was moved by Williams, support by Balls. Did I get it right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Everybody have a good night.